Yo, yes, it is thumbnail right now. It's the most accurate thing in life right now. Right? You think a Rinnegan? A Rinnegan! Yo, welcome everyone, Sasuke Uchiha here, and welcome back to the channel where tonight, it's time we tackle the Eye for an Eye chapter, if you know what I mean. Chapter 53 of the Boruto Manga, and chapter title, That's Reality. A pretty fitting chapter title when it comes down to this chapter. But yo, I must say, before even getting into it, just respect and shout out to everyone that actually came out for the live stream, the live reaction stream to the chapter that we did earlier today. From even before the chapter dropped, I was streaming, so the shout out to everyone that came out, and especially the guests that I had on for the stream that joined via Discord. You guys know yourselves: Paradox, Sid, Fibs, yo. Yo, and there was one other person, shit, I can't remember your name, but yo, respect for joining as well, man. But yo, that stream is already available on the channel, so if you guys want to go back and, you know, see what my initial reactions and thoughts were, and just the thoughts of the guests that were on, yo, you can definitely check that out. But without further ado, let's jump right into the madness that was chapter 53. So there's a lot of things to talk about regarding this chapter, but I want to do it in a concise fashion, given that the stream already exists on the channel. So honestly, first impressions, long story short, the chapter was good. I loved it. Honestly, the main problem with the chapter is the fact that it ended. Honestly, it's like another one of those chapters where it's really starting to heat up to me and then it just ends. So yeah. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty solid chapter. I liked it. There was a lot of things to appreciate from Kawaki's character getting a much needed, or not even much needed, but another push to become, like, I would say potentially even a fan favorite character based on how he handled himself in this chapter. And even things like how Ishiki was portrayed in this chapter was another positive that I found. But let's start from the beginning. So of course we start off the chapter where Kawaki has been brought to the battlefield by Ishiki due to the link that he had with the prosthetic hand and Naruto's chakra. So Ishiki just made use of that to bring him to the field last chapter. And of course we have, in the beginning, we have Kawaki essentially reflecting on, you know, words that Amado was told him about Ishiki's death and the fact that he can't escape death. And we go through a little repetition of, you know, the fact that Ishiki really wants to just mark back Kawaki and make him his vessel again. Of course, Kawaki, being aware of the fact that he doesn't have much time to live, which Ishiki even states in this chapter is 5 minutes, tries to escape, which is to no good, to no avail. Of course, Sasuke steps in and actually is useful, so doing his whole, you know, switcheroo with his Rinnegan. Rinnegan. Anyway, so yeah, and of course Kawaki is sent a distance away where Sasuke instructs him to actually just use the smoke screen he had left there for him, which surprisingly had some mineral that blocks like the Byakugan's field of vision, which isn't too crazy to imagine that Sasuke would have something like that. There have been times already in the series, like throughout the franchise, where, you know, blocking out the visual advantage of dojutsu has been a thing ever since. And even before this chapter, before even getting into this fight, we had Shikamaru and Sai go to a location where the Byakugan couldn't see, so it's not a stretch to think that Sasuke could actually have a smoke screen containing minerals to block the Byakugan. But what I loved about this as well is that even Ishiki using the Byakugan, I felt was, like, objectively speaking, part of what made this chapter like really good for me, because it forms what I feel is like character acting, right? Ishiki has been portrayed as kind of stoic, kind of classy, kind of bossy, you know, up to this point, always has his cool. So to see him not only lose his cool but use even the Byakugan, something that he didn't even use up to this point, I think adds value or adds to the notion that he is really stressed out and is desperate in this chapter. So that's one thing I really loved about it. So anyway, of course, Ishiki being desperate as he is, of course, and taking advantage of Kawaki's, you know, ratings and love for Naruto, you know, he he tempts fate and says he's going to kill Naruto, and he would have done it in 10 seconds. And of course, this forces Kawaki to like kind of flash back and think back on his time with Naruto and contrast it with Ishiki up to this point. And of course, predictably, Kawaki comes out. But what I love about this is the unexpected switch around after Ishiki apparently marks Kawaki, but at the same time he realizes that something is wrong, and then the karma seal that is placed on Kawaki fades, and we get a major revelation that it's actually a shadow clone. Now this was I did not expect this at all, and this is after Kawaki even managed to pull off a fireball jutsu, which was pretty cool. Now what makes this pretty good is that it builds, there's context for it, right? We know that Naruto trained Kawaki for an undisclosed amount of time within, I believe it was around chapter 34, 35, thereabouts, give or take. So it's not like this is out of nowhere and this is an ass pull or anything like that. There is context for why Kawaki could pull off the shadow clone, why he can pull off fireball jutsu. And I know it's a case we didn't get to see the exact ins and outs, and there has been a similar situation in the manga before with Sarada just suddenly knowing the Chidori, even though yeah, we know she learns it in a novel elsewhere. But at least in Kawaki's case, a bit of his training was shown, and it's not too far-fetched to think that he would have learned the shadow clone jutsu. And even by his admission towards the end of this chapter, he can only barely make one. So there's a balance between, there's balance and context for why he can do what he did in this chapter, essentially is what I'm saying, which balances out to add you know, marks to the positivity or just the ratings for the chapter itself. Now of course, honestly, Ishiki and his character acting, as I would put it, is on show for this chapter. Just the way he's shouting and the way he's drawn, and just you can see the desperation on Ishiki, and it's really on show for this chapter. And it's what to me added to the charm of the chapter to me, and really made the desperation that's you know, taking place within his character now on show and highly visible to us, the viewers. So I really love that. So yeah, but of course towards the end there we see Ishiki's body break down, and after the revelation that Kawaki used a clone, Kawaki turns back Ishiki's words from earlier in the chapter regarding reality back on him and kick off him face. Yo, and of course he turns to dust. And honestly, that's a twist I was not expecting, because I know a lot of persons actually expected, including myself, expected Kawaki to get back the karma in this chapter, and to see that he didn't, it makes it much more interesting. And honestly, it has me more invested in seeing where Kawaki is going to go, how his transition and further evolution of his character is going to go further along when it comes on to, you know, linking things back with the flash forward in the story. So yeah, I think Kishi made the right choice with what he did in this chapter, so that was good. Now the part where a lot of persons were spoiled on, let's get into that section. Because yo so Ishiki's dead, which is still surprising. And of course Sasuke asks Naruto about Baryon mode in terms of were there any risk, what's going to happen to you now, and we didn't get an answer for that. But before we can get too much into it, we have Boruto coming out of nowhere and saying, or Momoshiki coming out and saying, "Oh, eye for an eye, bitches!" And then, oh god, Rinnegan, Sasuke has lost the Rinnegan. Jeez and peace. Like, it was bad enough that Sasuke was being abused left, right, and center, but now the Rinne gone. Yo, trust me, it rough. So we have Momoshiki taking advantage of the fact that, you know, Ishiki's gone and everybody's tired, and no, it's his time to shine once more. So it makes me wonder what's going to happen now, because I imagine Naruto, whatever he was going to reveal, probably is going to factor into the fact that he can't fight as well anymore, maybe, or maybe he's going to be slowly dying, one or the other. And Sasuke is Sasuke. So at this point, it's interesting. I think we have a very interesting setup at this point. And maybe, who knows, maybe Sasuke will still be able to fight in some shape or form. And we'll finally get that Boruto versus, or Borushiki versus Sasuke fight. And it will probably lead to the scar that Boruto has on his eye in the future, which I did do a video on months and months ago. So that's where the chapter ends. But honestly, guys, I thought it was a pretty solid chapter, from the fact that, I mean, Kawaki got some points in this chapter for sure. I think the ratings for Kawaki has gone up. There's context for what he did, and while we didn't explore his training to the fullest degree because of the monthly format, Kishimoto has still balanced it out by not making him too overpowered. Even though they say he has a knack for ninjutsu, he's still learning, he still grasps the basics to a degree. And I think that actually falls in line with the whole theme of the story, that you can be a very powerful character, but to a degree, how you use your abilities still has a role to play to a degree. And I think that's what we saw in this chapter, and I just love it, honestly, with Kawaki. And yo, trust me. And then honestly, with how things are with us trying to push the new generation, as despite my feelings on Naruto and Sasuke and how they've been handled, the new generation still needs to take stage. And Kishimoto, with, you know, everything that Kodachi has built up as well, has, I think by the end of this chapter and even going into next chapter, has kind of set the stage, really set the stage for Naruto and Sasuke to leave the story, if not by death, then by them being heavily impaired in terms of their abilities. So yeah, I love that, as well as the whole setup, the more interesting setup for Kawaki and how his character is going to evolve from this point on. That was an X plus. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to go, because I think this chapter has hit the mark on the head in so many ways, as I said. And Kawaki is going to be one of the, I think, the major things coming out of this chapter too. Just the fact that he didn't get the karma, so it makes us as the audience much more curious in terms of how things are going to go for the chapters coming, and how things are going to, you know, actually go down leading into the time skip. What's going to cause Kawaki to become or do what he does? How is he going to get a new karma? A lot of things, honestly. But yo, all that said, I would imagine people are alright, people, I'll say this, Sasuke is one of my favorite characters, right? But he's been handled poorly in terms of combat in the manga, I feel. And honestly, with Momoshiki like basically stabbing out his Rinnegan, it's interesting. And honestly, I'm wondering what's gonna happen now, because if Sasuke can't use space-time ninjutsu and nobody else can teleport now, it's kind of almost the worst possible case scenario, with Momoshiki being the next big hurdle to overcome right now. So yeah, but more than likely, I imagine there will be a point where the Jogan is going to take center stage and Boruto is going to regain control, more than likely. But let's see. But all in all, I thought it was a solid chapter. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Definitely helps me out. We're already over 1,000 subs, but don't know, we're trying to head for that 10,000 subscribers and beyond mark. And yeah, why Sasuke, jeez, please leave civilian Sasuke, like. Yo, thanks for tuning in again, people. I know I still have the Boruto episode to react to, so there's that. I might record tonight, but no promises on it going up tonight. May or may not. It might be the first thing in the morning, so yeah. But thanks again. Yo, let's just start the Sasuke Eyes Matter 2 campaign, as Sid Tiki said in the stream. I'll pass on flyers, but no, bro, no. Rinnegan. See you guys in the next Boruto, or the 1,000,001 discussions after this. Jeez, peace.